Hey everybody, welcome to Tech Crazy, and today we will be working on my personal gaming and editing rig. Okay, so today we are working on my personal rig. It is a Dell XPS 8700. It's a pretty decent computer. I bought it for around $1,000. It's got an Intel i7 4790 Haswell in it. It's an LGA 1150 socket. It's 3.4 gigahertz, 4 cores, hyper-threaded, 12 gigabytes of DDR3 RAM, and a GTX 720 in it, which didn't come. Well, it came stock in this computer, but it was technically an upgrade. Usually they don't send it with a graphics card, but I got the upgrade for the graphics card. So I've been using this computer for a while, and I game on it a fair amount and do some video editing on it, and it's kind of gotten to the point where games these days are getting a little more high-end, I guess, and a little harder on graphics cards. And well, this graphics card is really, it's a pretty good graphics card for how much it is. I think if you go look somewhere like newegg.ca to buy one, I think they're like $40. But it's kind of falling short for me now, and I'm kind of getting to the point where I'd like to start upgrading this computer a bit. I've got some plans for it for the future here. But yeah, so today we are actually upgrading this card to a Asus 950 Strix. I've heard it's a very good card. My buddy here's got a 960 in his computer, and it's pretty good, but 950s weren't out when he got his in his computer, so the 950, almost as good as a 960, a little lower, but also cheaper, which is nice. So we're running some different benchmarks here on the 720, one being the New Haven or the Unhaven benchmark on it. Just that's a purely hard graphics benchmark. And the scores for the 720, of course, aren't very impressive, but they're kind of there. And we also ran Firestrike, which the score on that may look alright, but the problem with that is 2 of the tests include CPU, and the i7 4790 is actually a really good CPU. It's pretty high. It's not high-end, but it's not low-end. Like, it's definitely a well-performing CPU. So after doing this card change here for the Asus 950 Strix, the results I feel are pretty amazing. And as you also probably noticed, I haven't mentioned it yet, but I also changed up the power supply. Of course, the power supply from Dell that was in here was like 400 watt, and it was not going to cut running a Strix and anything else that I'd possibly want to put in here. So I have changed this out to a Corsair CX 600 power supply. Not modular cables, unfortunately, but it still works pretty well. Cable management in this case is 110% impossible, but it kind of is what it is. But yeah, since changing this card, like, the difference just on benchmarks are ridiculous, and we actually did this on the night of the release of Just Cause 3, so we kind of rushed through it a little bit because I wanted that Strix in there to play Just Cause 3 like as soon as it came out. We pretty much finished it at, I think, about 11:58. We pretty much put it together, turned it on, everything was working properly, we had run benchmarks, everything was running great, and I pretty much turned on Just Cause 3 and started playing for probably the next 6 hours. And now, not trying to date this too hard, which I already did with Just Cause 3 there, I've down the road a little bit, I've used this now when I come around to editing this video here. I've used this computer with this Strix, and I love it. It's absolutely amazing. Play games like Payday, which on the old card I'd maybe get like 20 frames a second if I was lucky. Now I'm 110 frames, pretty much constant on this card, which realistically, looking at the difference, shouldn't surprise you too much, but I guess from me owning the computer and using it, it's such a great upgrade. GTA is like 50 frames all the time on fairly decent settings. Like, these aren't on low settings. Like, Payday's maxed out on settings, and I'm still getting 100 frames. And GTA's high settings, not very high, but high. And other games, like Just Cause 3, I run on high, not very high, and I get pretty much 60 frames constant. So it's definitely a good upgrade if you're looking to do a graphics card upgrade. I definitely recommend it. And something like a 950 for, I don't know what I paid for it, $210 maybe. It's not a ridiculous price, I guess, for what I feel you get for performance. I don't know what the actual FPS per dollar is, or what they'd calculate that out to, but I feel it's a good upgrade, and it's a good start to upgrading my gaming and editing rig. So come back next time. subscribe, keep checking the channel for future videos from my computer, other computers and crazy stuff we do, and Graham's computer as well when we come around doing some stuff on that. Thanks.